Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a while since I posted. We have had a particularly mild winter. It is early February and I'm here in Zone 8, the Fraser Valley region of British Columbia, Canada. And today is a gorgeous day. It is sunshine, it is 15 degrees Celsius, which equates to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. And I thought, what a good opportunity today just to do a little bit of a walkabout and see how the garden is looking like after a very, very mild winter. I did notice some hellebores blooming, so there is something to see. I can advise, like, my rose bushes are pushing new growth, and even my daffodils are starting to come up, and it's very early for that. It's not over yet, like winter is still not over yet, so we still, have a chance of getting snow or freezing temps, but it's not looking very likely based on, the pattern that's kind of been this winter. It's been extremely mild. So, we are in a kind of a temperate rainforest here in British Columbia in the region I'm in. So we did get a lot of rain this winter. So there's a lot of sogginess. The soil is, very, very damp, but can't complain because no snow. So, I know, like, when you're a kid, you really want snow. When you're an adult, less so, because, the joke is that here we don't have to shovel rain. So that's one advantage of the rain over snow. So anyways, let's take this chance to just do a quick walkabout around the garden and see how it looks. All right, let's start up at the front here. So this is the front of the house, and we have this very, very narrow garden bed. And I did put in this David Austin Queen of Sweden rose. I think it was winter. It was either fall or winter. And you can see it is doing really well. It hasn't lost its leaves, and I do see some new growth here. So, I don't think I'm going to be doing much pruning on that one. So I'm not too worried about that one. You can see these are daffodils. They're already coming up. And like I said, it's the first week of February. So very early for these daffodils to be coming up. My alyssum wintered over, and it's basically evergreen. So, other than some patches, I think I'm going to just be giving that a trim back. Like, this is phlox here, and that one I probably will give a nice cut back, but between the alyssum here and the phlox, I have some nice kind of ground cover there that blooms. And here is a rose that will have to get pruned because you can see it is quite tall. And I've been waiting to do that, but you can see that, it's pushing out all this new growth. There's new growth all over it. And, this year I did want to take it down quite a bit in size. Take out this piece that's like the brown wood, that cane, that's pretty significant cane. I wanted to take that one out. So I probably should get on that rather soon. Here is another rose. This one has like deep, long stemmed roses, like deep red ones that are more of the traditional rose, the ones that everybody gets on Valentine's Day if you're lucky. You can see this one is also pushing out all this new growth all over, like even more than the other one. So, it's going to be kind of difficult to prune these mentally because it's hard to cut off all that new growth. This is my Rose of Sharon, Purple Pillar. And, that one is kind of leaning a little bit. So I'm hoping I can figure out a way to kind of just straighten it out just a bit. Over here, you can see my lavender, evergreen, haven't trimmed that back. You can see there's some old blooms here, old bloom stalks, kind of here and here. So that will have to be cut back. Also, I am getting some, I believe this is either tulips or alliums, but you can see those are all coming up too, and it's like pretty early. Like, see that? I think that might be my alliums, but it also could be tulips because I have tulips and alliums in this bed here. So yeah, that's very interesting, very early. This is my lilac, my dwarf lilac. It's supposed to be the blueberry, supposed to be the reblooming one. And I believe that grows or blooms on old wood, so that's not something I'll be pruning until after the first flush of blooms is completed. Let's see, I did pop in some new plants in here last year, and that's candy tuft. So you can see that. It's looking a little rough, but it is evergreen. Like, it did stay green all winter. So it just needs to be kind of trimmed back at some point, and hopefully it will flush fresh. That is one of the earlier bloomers, so I'm hopeful to see like early blooms in this bed this year. This is my David Austin climbing rose. It is the Crown Princess Margarita. And same thing, you know, I haven't defoliated it or pruned it, but you can see it has new growth coming already. So yeah, hopefully we don't get a frost. So not much else to see in this bed. Let's turn over to the front bed. All right, so one thing I did want to share in this garden bed here is my beautiful Perfume Princess Daphne. So I placed it last year, I believe, next to the sidewalk because they said it has a beautiful fragrance and you should put it somewhere where you can enjoy the fragrance of the blooms. So it started blooming not too long ago, and it is just the most intoxicating scent. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous scent. So if you can get Daphne Odora in your garden, this one is Perfume Princess variety. And I know I was a little bit worried about it. It didn't look great, but you can see it's blooming. It's got these stunning light pink blooms. It's got like a deeper purple, and then when it kind of blooms out, it goes into this very pale pink. But you know, I don't even care about how it looks because the fragrance is so intoxicating. So every time anybody walks by this sidewalk, you can get this heady fragrance. Just a total star. Probably one of my favorite winter garden plants for sure. And everything else is pretty dormant in this bed, other than I can say like my Brunnera. You can see here that is stayed evergreen. Gonna freshen it up a bit, but it did, you know, stay evergreen. And I want to take you over to this corner to see my hellebore. So let's go there next. So I apologize, it is sunny, so it is a little bit more difficult to see, but I wanted to show off this hellebore in this garden bed here on the corner because it is so nice to have something that is blooming in January, February. And you know, this is a public sidewalk. We have so many kids walking to school, parents walking them. And you know, people have actually noticed and asked me what this plant is because it's so rare to see a plant blooming in winter. And you can see it's just beautiful. Like, if you look at these blooms, these ones aren't really downturned as much as some of them, but look at that gorgeous color. It's like this deep Merlot type color, and you can see I'm not sure what all the parts are called, but basically the stamen, I think it's called, just gorgeous. And you know, I know a lot of people do cut off the leaves just to focus more on the flowers, but I think the leaves are looking really nice, so I haven't cut them off. They're very, you know, this nice green color. They don't look tattered at all, so I'm leaving them as is. So gorgeous hellebores, just love it. It makes me actually want to plant more hellebores. But even though it's hard to tell right now, this garden bed is pretty full. So here is my other David Austin rose, my Boscabelle. See, it does have new growth as well. Here's another shot of my hellebore here. I'm just trying to show it with a little bit of shade. Very beautiful, just a stunning plant. And I guess you can probably use these as cut flowers, but you know, I just want to enjoy these in the garden and let everybody else enjoy them who walks by and sees them because they're so lovely. All right, let's just take a walk into the back garden now. And I wanted to show you, so this is a Japanese maple here, quite bare. But I wanted to show you this garden bed because I do have a heuchera here, and that has stayed evergreen. It looks like it's heaved a bit, so it's a bit higher out of the soil, the crown, than it should be. So that's one task I'll have to do in spring, is kind of just take it down, dig it in a little bit deeper. But I wanted to show you this garden bed because it looks like there's really nothing in it other than my heuchera. And actually, there are 4 hostas in this garden bed that just look amazing when they come up. So it's going to be a very stark contrast between what it looks like now and what it will look like in spring. And I can't wait for those hostas to come up. All right, one other thing I wanted to show you was my Arctic Fire red twig dogwood, which is just right here, and you can see how vibrant it looks. So you can see such a beautiful addition if you have the space in your garden to have a large shrub like this. And you know, it's got this beautiful bright red color, which is just so nice during the holiday season. Like if you wanted to cut these stems and take them in for decorations, you could do that. If it snows, it's just a beautiful contrast with the snow with this bright red color. So just a beautiful shrub, and it does flower. You can see like there's some remnants of the old flowers here. And I haven't really done much pruning on this one. I've been a little bit nervous about pruning it, but you know, I can see like this one, for example, it's like dead. So that's something that I'll probably have to look into pruning. I know you do have to like kind of prune it to keep that beautiful red color because it mainly is on the new stems, but that's something I will eventually have to do. All right, let's look at some more hellebores. So I believe it was last year, I did a little bit of a change in this area, and I planted a row of hellebores here because with this retaining wall, this area was going to be shaded, and it's a very moist area, especially in the winter. And I can see one hellebore here, looks like it's surviving, but maybe not thriving, so I might lose that one. But these three, you can see, are blooming and they're looking great. So you can see that beautiful deep red color again. Stunning. Here's another one. Gorgeous. And then the last one, I believe, is just, looks like a little bit of a lighter color, just more of a pale pink. So pretty. So, you know, it's got some more buds down here. This is the first year for these in this garden bed, so I'm very happy they're blooming and doing well, and hopefully they will, you know, continue to do well. But, you know, I got these on clearance at a very good deal, and I hope if I can get more of these, I definitely want to add more to my garden. I also had this clematis last year, which, you know, I planted pretty late, and it did bloom slightly, and it looks like it's still alive, which is good news. There's a bit of a growth here. That looks new, and I'm hoping this will, this year, kind of make its way up this trellis. All right, so you can see my hydrangeas have not been deadheaded. That's something I got to get on this month. I did want to show you this one little bloom on my gray sword Lithodoria. So you can see this beautiful, vibrant indigo blue bloom is here in February. And you know, it's just one, but there shouldn't be any really. But anyways, I've lost so many of these plants, these gray sword Lithidorias. I love that vibrant color, but you know, they don't seem to really do well in my garden. So I'm really excited to see that one little bloom, and hopefully I'll have an abundance of these blooms this year with our mild weather. All right, so walking back, let's take a look at what's going on in my shade garden here. So this is the back of the shed. It's kind of a dumping area, and it was never really taken care of. And you know, I've been slowly transforming it with plants into this like secret shade garden area. And you can see the star of the show once again is my hellebore here. So let's take a closer look. Gorgeous, gorgeous hellebore. I can just catch like a glimpse of the edge of it from my window, and it's just so beautiful to have these gorgeous blooms in winter. See, these ones have faded. Looks like those are the seeds. I'm hoping this will reseed itself. I know hellebores take a really long time to grow from seed, and honestly, I've had really great luck getting these on clearance at Home Depot when the season's over. So I think it's just easier and cheaper just to you know, get them on clearance rather than try to grow them. But just gorgeous, like star of the show for sure. All right, so there's not that much more to see in the winter garden. One thing I have noticed is that there's a lot of weeds. So, you know, the mildness of the winter has meant that even the weeds have been evergreen. So that's going to be a pretty big task trying to get control of the weeds this year. So I'm not looking forward to that. And yeah, pretty soon we're going to be doing some pruning on our hydrangeas, our rose bushes, and cutting back like my for example, my Amsonia, that needs to be cut back. My autumn joy sedum needs to be cut back, and that'll make room for all the new growth that's coming. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to show. I was just mentioning my autumn joy sedum, so you can see like I've left this for winter interest, but it definitely needs to be cut back because you can see already those green rosettes. So there's already new growth popping up there. So, you know, I don't want this old growth to kind of hide the new growth. I want to give the new growth all the opportunity it can to grow and be beautiful. So that's something I definitely have to put on the list of pruning back. I'll show you guys something interesting here. So this, I have a 3-sided trellis here that has all these different clematis growing on it. And you can see that even the clematis here has new growth coming. See that? So that is going to be a bit tricky because I'm going to have to somehow figure out how to cut all this dead out without kind of damaging the new growth. So that'll be interesting. You can see I left these clematis blooms here because they're just so interesting and I thought they had really good winter interest. Now, one thing, I have this plant, which I don't know what it is, but it's growing through the bottom of my clematis, and I've tried cutting it back and I'm not sure what it is, but it keeps coming back and I'm a little bit worried about it. And you can see how thick down here these stems are becoming, and way at the base you can see right here, like, look at that. It is big thick plant and I have a feeling it's not something good. So I'm a little bit concerned about that and getting it out of there because it is kind of mixed in right with my clematis in there. So I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to get this out. And it is full of like all this new growth here. See that? See if I can show you. Yeah, see that? And I don't believe I planted this. I'm not sure what it is, but I have a feeling it's not good. So if you happen to know what that is, please let me know in the comments, because it's not something I don't think I want in my garden. All right, moving along here, I have some peonies planted here, which I have overrun. This garden bed is overrun with weeds, especially creeping buttercup, which is the bane of my existence. I can't stand that weed. It just spreads everywhere. So that's something that, you know, has been kind of taking over, unfortunately. One other thing I wanted to show you guys is this here. What is this? I have no idea. It is so unusual looking. You can see it's got this spear coming out of it. And I think it might be actually an allium bulb that maybe did not get planted deep enough or was dug up or something, but very unusual looking. So it's growing, you know, it seems like it's happy. Here's this weed is called dock. It's so hard to get rid of. So, you know, unfortunately, no shortage of weeds. And that's my fault because I wasn't able to mulch as much as I wanted to last year. Here you can see all this new growth with this alliums here. Oh my goodness, look at this clematis. This clematis has all this new growth growing on these old stems, which I didn't cut back. So that's going to be tricky. I might just have to cut it back and hope for the best, because it's going to be hard to cut it back when there's, you know, dead and new growth combined. What do you guys do in this situation? Let me know. And this is another task I have, is my lilac on standard. It's been here for a while, so you can see how thick the trunk is. And this lilac on standard, it's been leaning, and I have to correct that somehow. But I have a clematis in here I don't want to disturb, and also I have all these bulbs coming up. So yeah, another tricky situation that I'm gonna have to kind of work around this clematis and then around these bulbs to try to straighten this. Yeah, that I should actually do that before this blooms, because that's going to be difficult to straighten out. All right, well, I think that's mostly what I wanted to show in the winter garden. And the very last thing I wanted to show off was my camellia. So you can see my camellia actually has buds. So I'm so excited because, you know, it's been looking so sickly and I was worried I was going to lose it. I think I actually did lose at least one, but you can see the leaves are looking fairly decent. Nice and green, and it is covered in buds. So I'm really excited. This one is called Taylor's Perfection Camellia. You can see it's supposed to be pink blooms. I think that white is just faded from being in the elements, but this camellia, I'm so excited. It's covered in buds. It's got beautiful beautiful green leaves. So hopefully this year it blooms for me nicely, because one year it did bloom, but the blooms fell off. So that is another winter plant that hopefully will kind of bloom soon. All right, so that is it for the winter garden. Hi everyone, so thanks so much for joining me on my little walkabout around the winter garden. It was even surprising for me to see some things. So for example, like the camellia, seeing it all budded up and doing well was surprising to me. And it was just delightful to see the hellebores and take in that scent of the Daphne. So yeah, if you don't have plants that bloom in winter for your garden, I highly recommend, if you can get those in, to do that, because there is just so much sparseness in winter that, you know, when you do see something blooming, it just gives you even that much more joy. So I hope your garden is waking up as well, and all the best for February. Let's just hopefully spring comes soon and we can all get in our garden. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.